Two, one. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Two Vintage Sports, guys. I am your host, Joe Randacci, and here's your other host, Mr. Paul Gallagher. What's going on, Paul?
A bunch, Joe. How are you this evening after the Game of Thrones finale, which was worse than expected?
Well, not Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, which is just
Whatever.
cheap
It's all the same. There's dragons.
sequel,
There's lots of dragons.
bad show.
I'll call it Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones 2, Electric Boogaloo. All right, so we're here to talk about the only sport left standing right now. God help, I can't wait till college football starts, but let's talk about baseball.
So
And
you,
we're
you
post trade deadline. Give me your thoughts on it.
well, everybody, including you, has just penciled the Dodgers in for another World Series, but I'd like to think that some of us have a chance to at least enjoy the rest of the season and see what can happen and see if there's a letdown that can be in the making, and these teams can all fight for a chance to go against the Dodgers before they upset everybody and become the Patriots of baseball. And that's really what it's about. It's jealousy, it's resentment, it's a whole nation turning on one team, just like what happened in football.
Okay. Well, it's not that, and yes, the Dodgers coming off back to back, but don't forget, they're an inch from that throw to home plate from losing that World Series last year. Toronto really should have won that World Series.
Well, and the Phillies should have beaten them before that. They weren't far
Well,
from
let's
doing that
let's
either.
let's
But it's
not
all
get
about the
carried away
money.
and biased on this podcast. Like
Go back and
Toronto
watch the
should have won the
tape.
World Series,
Well, the
but
Dodgers shouldn't have made the World Series, is my point. So,
but
but go back and watch the tape another day. The point is, it's all about the money, and it's going to be about the money for the rest of this season, all the off season, and into the lockout next season. So, this is not the first time we're going to hear about it, but there's a lot other teams fighting. The Houston Astros are losing right now, so the Texas Rangers will be only a half game out of first place. The American League's wide open because there's no runaway team there. Um,
well, you
the
got to be
Braves are
impressed
good.
with Boston's 31 and
Oh, yeah,
6 record. I mean,
yeah.
the closest thing I remember, you may remember, was the 84 Tigers who started 35 and 5 and won that World Series. If you start 35 and 5, you better win the World Series. Doyle Alexander, Kirk Gibson, the whole 84 Tigers team. I don't think I remember any type of 30, 35 game record like, and the Red Sox, you got to remember, they were 10 or 12 games under 500 when they started that. That's incredible.
It is, and not to take away from them, but I'll look at the other side of the coin that says there's still 7 games out of first. So the American League counters everything that's been said about the Dodgers and the salary cap and rich versus poor. You've got the Rays in first place. You've got the White Sox in first place, who set a record for most losses ever in a year 2 years ago. The Twins are up there, the Guardians. I mean,
So let's talk about the White Sox for a second, because that is something going from worst to first. But the whole division, the American League Central, is drab. I mean, those White Sox are only 5 games above 500 at 61 and 56, and then the rest of the division is under 500. With the
yeah,
Tigers, who were pretty much left for dead, are only 2 games under at 58 60. And then where are they sitting with the wild card? Those Tigers, because they were done. They traded Scooble and they were done. And now, how many games are they out of the wild
well, they're
card?
they're only
One game.
three and a half back of Chicago, but the wild card becomes the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Rangers. Or Houston, because it's Houston and the Rangers will flip flop the rest of the season. I don't see anybody in the West catching up with them, but they'll flip flop. So it's wide open. But to your point, every team except one in the Central's under 500. Um, every team in the West except two. The Rangers are 500 even, and the other three teams are under. So comparatively against the National League, they're not as good.
So let me
But
ask you this.
I'd have to, would have to
Is
see.
this a good thing that, let's just take the American League for a second, that the only three teams that really are out of it are Kansas City, the A's, and the Angels, who are between 10 and a half and 14 games out. But you have the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 3.5 games out of that last wild card spot, but yet there's one, two, three, four, five teams in front of them. Like, how could everybody? Is this a good thing that mediocre under 500 teams are playing for a wild card spot?
Yeah, I think so. I think because if you're the fans of, the Guardians or the Twins or the Rangers or any number of these teams, even the Red Sox now. So yeah, when you have two, four, six, 8 teams battling and you're playing meaningful games in August, then yes. I don't like the parity word that NFL throws around as a bad thing. I think it's great. And I'm not sure why it is that way. Are the farm system of the Rays and some of these other teams so good? And it counters the argument that money wins everything because clearly some of these teams haven't spent nearly as much as the Braves or the Phillies or the Dodgers or even the Cubs. So, the Cardinals are right there. You know, there's a lot of teams battling it out for the wild card. So the inclusion of a third wild card team, yeah, that's great. I think it's a good thing.
See,
Playoff baseball's different.
well, I'm going to keep disagreeing because I don't think you should be under 500 battling for a playoff spot. It's just, I, Texas has the third spot at 59 and 59. And then starting with Detroit, a game out of that third spot, who's 2 games under 500. Everybody else is under 500. Like, can you get hot in these last 40 something games and that
A lot
third
of
wild
games.
card spot will finish 5 games or 6 games above 500? I guess we'll wait for the end of the season to see if that's how it plays out. But if the third wild card spot is under 500 in either league, you think that's what the
Nothing
league's
wrong with
supposed
it.
to
I think it's
showcase?
fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think anything's wrong with that. Um, they may have gotten off to a bad start in April. They're battling each other. There's a lot of reasons for it. And I'm gonna, be a fan in 2026 and not be a vintage old man who says blah, it should be done the way it's always been done.
Well,
Let's
we're
embrace it.
two vintage old men, as the title
Well,
suggests. And yes,
sometimes
blah, take it away.
sometimes you have to go with the times. And yeah, we can be old men, but we don't have to be the two old men at the Muppets poo-pooing on the whole league. I think it's fun. I think this is what sports is. And you want to root for your team, and good for the White Sox, good for the Guardians, good for some of these other teams. Great that the Red Sox played their ass off in the last month and got back into it and have it. Playoff baseball is different. Playoff sports is different across the board. It's a new game. So if you can make it there, it's still not, hey, everybody makes the playoffs. It's not 8 out of 12 teams like it is in some other sports where everybody makes the playoffs. It's still a select few, and it's
We're
a hard
talking
one too.
hockey.
I was taking a shot at the WNBA, but that's
Is that a
neither here
sport?
nor there.
I wish I
I
never
didn't want to
said
go there. We're not going to get in trouble tonight as two old
that.
men.
Well, what did I just see that not we will not delve into politics, but did some politician or political somebody challenge the WNBA to play a collegiate men's team, and the
Somebody did.
WNBA didn't respond, and this guy's like, that's because they know they'll get smoked, and like I'm like, oh my God, did somebody open that Pandora's box of a
Yeah,
topic?
yeah, and let's close the Pandora's box on this podcast about the entire sport and skip right over it. So, what other sports are going on? It's baseball. It's not much of a trade deadline. I will put one for the Phillies made a pretty good move, reshuffled their entire team, moved the guy from second to third and third to first and first to the outfield and reshuffled everything and moved it around, but made a good splash. I'm not sure there was many other teams
Other than
that
Struble to
drastically
the
improved.
Dodgers, that
Well,
was
yeah, I
it.
mean that's the first obvious one, right? That's been talked ad nauseum. Were there other big name, trades that really helped? And I think the Phillies was the second one after the Dodgers.
So
A-
yeah, got it.
After Bryce Harper told Don Mattingly's son how to do his job, which caused a few ruffles in the Philadelphia media.
Does
So
anybody like that guy in Philly, including his wife?
not really, but he's a winner. So when you're a winner and you're as talented as he was for as long as he's been talented, you put up with it, and it's fun to watch a vintage guy like Don Mattingly, get up to the podium and tell the star player to stay in his lane and protect his own son, who's the GM. So I kind of liked Donnie Baseball doing that. So we'll see.
So, so pretty much, I think the Cubs are basically 19 games over 500, first wild card spot, right? That they're going to be a good team in the playoffs. Arizona, they're hanging in there, right? I mean, it's what these last 45 games or so will tell,
Yeah,
right? Who goes?
there's a lot of games left. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things left, and we could switch over to the poor folks in the NFL having to do training camp in this god awful heat. I'm not. We completely forgot that training camp started. Silly us. We didn't even think of the NFL, but it begs the question: why are they doing it this early? Injuries happened. I think another guy went down with an ACL. And I had an interesting conversation with a guy at a bar the other day that said this poor player who's out there in training camp in August and his ACL goes, was his ACL going to go anyway? Or was it a freak accident that you blame on training camp and being out there where some guy falls on him? I think it's half the time it's an accident and one guy falls on another, and but the other times it's these guys are, one went down today with another ACL. It's just a shame. I feel bad for these football players who literally take the years off of their life and um, to a sport, for chasing all of it, the injuries that happen to them, and they're out there in this god awful heat in August and playing football with pads on.
Well, this was the whole preseason thing, right? What did they wind up doing? They took a preseason game off and added it to the schedule, right? For the 17th game
Yeah, I think
two,
so.
two
But
years ago.
it's still early. It's still such a shame that these guys have to go out there and. But we're all getting ready for fantasy football drafts. It's in a lot of leagues. That'll be in 2 weeks. Maybe the next episode we should bone up. You probably don't do fantasy football because you're a curmudgeon, but for the rest of us out
The
there that do
curmudgeon
it,
did it for years until
and
he
now he
started
doesn't care.
punching things when he was losing, and he just had to back off of that too.
Well,
And
maybe this is the year where you calmly enter the waters and do a fantasy football team. So
you know what? All the names I used to know, I just can't absorb anymore. And if I have to be on the waiver wire for seeing each week who's the gem I'm picking up that's going to win that week, it's all in the waivers, right? And
it
yeah,
does
no.
get old. I'll give you that. It does get old at times, but it's a good way to stay in touch. I'm in 2 leagues,
Well, let me
and
ask you this.
you know,
Where are we in fantasy football where running backs count or don't count anymore? Like
well,
when
they
I was
count.
doing it, they didn't count. Like nobody cared about
They
running
no, they
backs.
count. I think. Well, it's everybody's got a different strategy, but wide receivers are the most important. I think because there's so little of them, and so a lot of people go wide receiver and then running back and then quarterback way late. So that's coming up though. It'll probably be in a lot of leagues. It'll be the week of the 22nd or maybe Labor Day weekend, which we don't do, but a lot of people will do it Labor Day weekend. So I think we need to bone up for the next episode. You probably need to research some football, and you know, there's just nobody takes any Jets, so you'll have to research a few other
Not a
teams and
Jets
see
fan.
who's out there.
Just it just goes that your fleeting memory is like seeping out of you. But
You,
that
you're
was a
always
comment for like 6 years ago. But
no, you're
that's all right.
always
Hang in there.
familiar. Well, you're always familiar with the Jets a little bit, so
I
you'll have
couldn't
to
tell
find a new
you.
team.
I couldn't tell you two people on the team. I think
Well,
Gino is now their quarterback, right?
yeah, so this is what we'll do. We'll via sports cards, and I know that Topps will have a new release, I think on the 21st of NFL trading cards. So in honor of that, around the end of the month, we'll get you into football. We'll have you collect some cards. You'll get into it. You'll start to learn some of the players, and you'll root for the Eagles, or I won't talk to you anymore. So we'll see
Oh,
what
that's
happens.
there's a perk. So I went today to my single Pittsburgh single A Bradenton Marauders stadium, which was a cute little stadium. Me and the other 79 fans there enjoyed it, and 94 degree feels like 102-degree heat. And I looked at I took the guide and I'm trying to read these guys' names who are like 21, 22 years old. Can't remember one of them. But I watched the first inning, had 3 errors total between the two of them. And I'm like,
Well, they're
this
learning.
is
The
single
kids are
A.
learning. But it's fun though. I think minor league baseball is where it's at. I think it's a fun, whether it's college kids playing in the summer or single A, high A. There's all kinds of teams now, but good for you. And I noticed when I was out to dinner tonight that the Little League World Series regionals are going on. So we'll have to look into that next week too. Little League World Series time. Those poor kids are out and uh, I'll be in Pennsylvania in a couple of weeks or next week, maybe even, and playing in the August heat. So there you go.
Well,
You go
let me
little
let me
league and
leave
then
it with
minor league.
yeah. Let me leave it with this with that game I went today. I literally counted the other 79 people. That's how many people were there. And you could see my picture if you go back to it. And I would tell you from sitting there with those 79 people, when the players from the local Marauders were coming off the field and the people and the 79 people were yelling at them, they were all family and friends of them. So, so if you take out that, there might have been 20 of us there that didn't have a relative on the field.
Well, it's a decent day out. At least you got some sunshine and fresh air, and the baseball field is just a calming, nice place to go to. So, I mean, if the parking's free and the tickets are cheap, then why not? It's a good day out.
The
It
ticket was $12 and the hot dog was 14.
Well, that's not good. But my movie ticket was only $15 last night for an excellent Spider-Man movie. But that's a different show for a different podcast.
That
But
was a great movie. Best one of the thing, but we're done here. We've hit our mark. And thanks for listening. Follow us and say goodbye, Paul.
goodbye, Paul.